Welcome to our Immigration Briefing show. Today, we delve into the chaos unfolding in the UK as anti-immigration protests turn violent, with hotels being targeted and missiles thrown. The unrest has spread to several cities, raising concerns about public safety and the influence of far-right groups. Stay tuned as we unpack the details behind these events and their broader implications. In Australia, the government's plan to cap international student numbers has sparked alarm among education experts. The potential financial hit could lead to the collapse of training colleges, affecting both international and domestic students. We'll explore the warnings from higher education authorities and the fierce opposition from universities and training providers. And in a surprising revelation, a new study shows that undocumented immigrants in the US paid nearly $100 billion in taxes last year. The research highlights the significant economic contributions of this population and the potential for even greater tax revenue if work authorization was granted. We'll break down the findings and discuss the broader impact on the economy. Please stay tuned for detailed coverage of these stories and more. BBC, in the UK, anti-immigration protests have erupted into violent riots, with demonstrators in Rotherham attacking the Holiday Inn Express, where they threw missiles at police, set fires, and smashed windows. In Bolton, fireworks and smoke bombs were hurled as police tried to separate opposing groups, with one faction shouting Allahu Akbar at the anti-immigration protesters. These riots have been fueled by misinformation following the tragic stabbing of 3 young girls in Southport, leading to several days of unrest across the country. The Sydney Morning Herald, the Australian government's plan to cap international student numbers has sparked alarm within the education sector, with warnings that training colleges could collapse, leaving domestic students financially stranded. Andrew Norton of the Australian National University highlighted significant concerns from various government agencies about the implementation of these caps. The Australian Skills Authority Commission and the Higher Education Regulator have both expressed fears that the financial impact could force providers to close, affecting thousands of students. Despite widespread opposition from universities and training providers, Education Minister Jason Clare insists on starting the reforms next year, a move criticized by many as an unjustifiable risk to the nation's educational and economic stability. South China Morning Post, far-right rioters clashed with police in Rotherham, seeking to storm a hotel believed to house asylum seekers. The violence, which saw over 100 arrests, included rioters throwing wood, chairs, and fire extinguishers at police, who struggled to maintain control. The unrest follows a stabbing rampage in Southport that killed 3 girls, with misinformation about the suspect's background fueling far-right anger. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the violence as far-right thuggery and promised more resources for police to restore order. The riots, organized online by far-right groups, have spread across the UK, with significant tensions in towns like Middlesbrough, where windows were smashed and bricks hurled at police. BBC. In Dorset, a man was arrested amid a tense standoff between 600 protesters from opposing sides gathered on the Weymouth Esplanade. Around 200 stand-up to racism demonstrators faced off against 400 anti-immigration protesters, separated by a wall of police officers and riot vans. Assistant Chief Constable Mark Callahan reported a few minor incidents, emphasizing the importance of lawful behavior. The anti-immigration group chanted slogans like "Save our streets," while the opposing side shouted "Shame on you." The protests stem from long-standing tensions over the Bibby Stockholm barge housing asylum seekers, which has divided the community. Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the violence, promising strict legal action against those breaking the law. CBC. Anti-immigration unrest has spread across the UK, with violent protests erupting in multiple cities following the tragic stabbing of 3 young girls in Southport. Misinformation falsely linking the attacker to immigration fueled the anger. In Rotherham, protesters threw bricks at police and broke hotel windows believed to house asylum seekers, while in Aldershot, similar unrest was seen. Police maintained a strong presence to keep anti-racist counter-protesters apart from the anti-immigration groups. Prime Minister Keir Starmer attributed the violence to deliberate far-right actions and promised severe penalties for those involved. The unrest presents a significant challenge to Starmer's new government, which has vowed to address the issue robustly. Yahoo US. The UK faced a weekend of violent far-right, anti-immigration demonstrations across 7 cities, sparked by conspiracy theories about a mass stabbing in Southport. Police arrested over 100 people as riots broke out, with protesters in Leeds shouting anti-Muslim slurs and in Hull attacking a hotel housing asylum seekers. The violence, fueled by misinformation on social media, saw libraries set ablaze and police officers injured. Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the unrest, distinguishing between freedom of expression and violent disorder. The demonstrations follow a surge in far-right activity, emboldened by recent electoral gains. Calls for nationwide protests were amplified by far-right figures like Tommy Robinson and Andrew Tate, leading to widespread chaos and a strong police response. The Sydney Morning Herald. 10 years ago, I devised the Rule of Three for every government term, highlighting 3 memorable political events that shape a government's legacy. For Anthony Albanese's first term, it's challenging to pinpoint 3 significant moments. The referendum stands out, but other events like the Stage 3 tax cuts and the National Anti-Corruption Commission may fade from memory. As the election approaches, the government has shifted to a defensive strategy, exemplified by Tony Burke's appointment in Home Affairs and Immigration. This move aims to minimize attention and potential weaknesses. The challenge for Albanese's government is to maintain this defensive posture while preparing for the election. The Rule of Three reveals that the most memorable aspects of this term might be the scandals of the previous coalition government, such as the Robodebt Royal Commission and Scott Morrison's secret ministerial appointments. This lingering memory of the past government could influence voters' decisions in the upcoming election. Yahoo US. A recent study reveals that undocumented immigrants contributed nearly $100 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022, challenging the notion that they drain social programs. In 40 states, including Utah, undocumented immigrants paid higher tax rates than the top 1% income earners. The Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy found that if all undocumented immigrants had work authorization, their tax contributions could increase by $40.2 billion annually. Despite paying taxes, they are often excluded from benefits like Medicare and Social Security. In states like Florida and Utah, undocumented immigrants' tax rates are significantly higher than those of the wealthiest residents. The study highlights the economic contributions of undocumented immigrants, especially in light of labor shortages. Experts argue that mass deportations would not only have a human cost but also negatively impact the economy. The Congressional Budget Office predicts that increased immigration could add $1.2 trillion to federal revenue over the next decade. The study underscores the need to recognize and integrate undocumented immigrants' contributions to the economy. South China Morning Post. On May 26, 1906, a fire devastated Point Alonce, California, destroying one of America's largest Chinese fishing communities. Before the fire, Point Alonce played a crucial role in the global shark fin trade, with sharks caught in Monterey Bay processed and exported to China. A study published in Human Ecology reveals that the village, founded by migrants from Guangdong in the mid-19th century, had a deep knowledge of fishing. Researchers analyzed DNA from shark vertebrae and found that the fishermen primarily harvested taupe sharks. The village's success in the shark trade was facilitated by networks connecting China and the US, with dried shark fins being a valuable commodity. Despite their economic contributions, the Chinese fishermen faced institutionalized racism and restrictive laws. Understanding the history of fisheries like Point Alonce can aid modern conservation efforts by identifying when human activities began impacting local populations. The study aims to provide insights for setting accurate conservation targets and preserving marine ecosystems. Yahoo US. As the rain pours down in Lewiston, Maine, a group of immigrants, including Françoise Mutangidai from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, board a bus headed to Gagny Foods in Bath. This bus, funded by the company and a state grant, is a lifeline for these workers who lack personal transportation. For Michael Gagny, the company's owner, hiring immigrants has been both a personal mission and a practical solution to labor shortages. Gagny Foods goes above and beyond to support its diverse workforce, providing translation services and financial aid when needed. This commitment has not only helped the company thrive but also offered new Mainers a chance to build a stable future. BBC, in Hull, a night of chaos erupted following protests involving anti-immigration and anti-racism groups. The city center saw shops looted, one set on fire, and police attacked with bricks and fireworks. The unrest followed a day of nationwide demonstrations that turned violent, with Hull being one of the many cities affected. Assistant Chief Constable Mike Walker condemned the violence, emphasizing that such behavior would not be tolerated. Protesters clashed at Queen Victoria Square, with anti-immigration demonstrators shouting hostile slogans while anti-racism campaigners countered with messages of welcome for refugees. The violence escalated as the groups moved through the city, culminating in attacks on a hotel housing asylum seekers. Guardian, Paula Bronstein's haunting photograph of Rohingya refugees on their arduous journey to Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, captures the despair of those fleeing violence in Myanmar. Taken in 2017, the image is part of a retrospective exhibition showcasing 4 decades of Bronstein's work at the Visa pour l'Image Festival in France. The refugees, having escaped systematic atrocities, faced further inhuman treatment at the Bangladeshi border, where they were forced to stay in muddy fields for days. Bronstein's ongoing projects highlight the plight of war victims in Afghanistan and Ukraine, but the Rohingya crisis remains a stark reminder of unresolved suffering. Despite the world's shifting focus, the refugees continue to endure harsh conditions, their hopes for stability still distant. CNN. Senator Sherrod Brown, embroiled in a high-stakes re-election battle in GOP-leaning Ohio, is distancing himself from Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden, focusing instead on disqualifying his opponent, Bernie Moreno. Brown is leveraging his blue-collar brand and populist messaging, attacking Moreno's character and business practices, including legal issues and abortion stance, while avoiding association with the Biden-Harris administration. Brown's strategy is to appeal to swing voters by emphasizing his commitment to Ohio workers and contrasting his policies with Moreno's. The Democrats are heavily investing in ads to support Brown in this crucial race as they aim to maintain their slim Senate majority amid a challenging national environment. Associated Press. The Biden administration is expanding the areas where migrants can apply online for U.S. entry appointments to southern Mexico, potentially easing the strain on the Mexican government and reducing dangers for migrants. This move, which satisfies a request from Mexico, will allow migrants to schedule appointments via the CBP One app from the states of Chiapas and Tabasco. This change aims to prevent migrants from making perilous journeys north through Mexico to secure one of the 1,450 daily appointments available. The expansion is part of broader U.S.-Mexico cooperation on migration control, which has significantly reduced illegal border crossings and eased tensions at the border. The initiative also responds to the high demand from Venezuelan, Cuban, and Haitian migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. Telegraph. The British government is facing criticism for its handling of public sector pay and infrastructure projects. Recent announcements by Chancellor Rachel Reeves to fund public sector pay rises by cutting benefits like the winter fuel payment have sparked discontent among retirees and taxpayers. Critics argue that these policies will lead to higher inflation and set a precedent for other sectors to demand similar increases. Additionally, the scaling back of important infrastructure projects, such as the cancellation of the Stonehenge Tunnel, has raised concerns about the government's priorities. The debate extends to the broader implications of Labour's approach, with accusations of undermining the working class and failing to address underlying social issues. Meanwhile, public sentiment reflects frustration over inconsistent immigration controls, divisive policies, and the perceived erosion of British values. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Great dragon breaks ancient streets, leading change with modern beats. Cities rise and towers peak, new dawn breaking, bold and sleek. From the Great Wall to Shanghai, progress moves as kites fly high. Tech and trade, it's all to play, future shines brighter every day. Great dragon roars, change the cars, marching strong with mighty force. Whoa. New era, new wave, fast-paced day, history made in full display. Politicians make their plea, voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace, ambitions never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew, nations strengthen bold review. Traditions hold, navigate. China's power demonstrates. From the Great Wall to Shanghai, progress moves as kites fly high. Tech and trade, it's all the play. Future shines brighter every day. Great dragon roars, change the course. Marching strong with mighty force. New era, new way, fast-paced day. History made in bold display. Politicians make their plea. Voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace. Ambitions, their growth and peace. New era, new way, fast-paced day. History made in bold display. History made in bold display. Politicians make their plea. Voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace. Ambitions never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew. Nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold but minds explore. East meets west at knowledge door. Complex world they navigate. China's power never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew. Nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold but minds explore. East meets west at knowledge door. Complex world they navigate. China's